AI now seems everywhere, and yet in meetings, interviews, even casual conversations, it can feel like everyone's nodding along without really knowing what they're nodding to. You've probably felt it too. Pressure to sound AI smart, even when the terms are vague and the tools unclear. But here's the truth. You don't need to understand every algorithm. You need to understand where AI fits into decisions, into workflows, into value. In this video, we're not chasing the hype. We're opening the black box and giving you the structure and vocabulary to speak AI with clarity and credibility.
AI is new, and it's evolving faster than anything we've seen in business before. One month it's writing marketing copy, the next it's predicting equipment failure, scoring grant applications, or automating supply forecasts. Blink, and the use cases shift again. The expectations change. The vocabulary gets more crowded. For many professionals, AI feels like a black box. What do I mean by that? It's when you can see the input and the output, but you don't understand what's happening in between. You know AI is producing a result, maybe a suggestion, a forecast, or a risk flag, but how it arrived there? That part's opaque, technical, fast-changing. You can't quite evaluate it. You can't challenge it confidently, and you may hesitate to explain it to colleagues or clients. And in a professional setting, that's a problem. Because understanding how AI works, even in broad strokes, can shape your career. But equally important to knowing what AI is understanding what AI can do. And this isn't a one-size-fits-all answer. In business, AI can show up in 1,000 places, across departments, functions, decisions, and processes. It might help forecast demand, personalize a customer experience, spot a safety risk, or streamline documentation.
D3, in this video, we focus on supply chain management and logistics, the backbone of how goods and services move, how value is created and delivered, and how organizations coordinate across time, space, and partners. This focus is not arbitrary. It's of course my specialty, but it is also necessary for coherence. Without a clear domain focus, discussions about AI easily become abstract, scattered, or overly generic. But when we root the conversation in SCM and logistics, we gain clarity. We can explore real functions, real challenges, and real transformations, rather than staying in the realm of buzzwords and vague potential.
SCN and logistics offer a rich terrain where both operational complexity and value creation are visible. They provide a structured way to examine how AI affects physical flows, digital coordination, service interactions, and strategic decisions. And the insights we gain here don't just apply to business. They spill over into everyday life, where coordination, resource use, and timing matter just as much. Rejecting focus gives us a more blurred understanding of what AI can actually do. Embracing focus on logistics, production, coordination allows us to cut through the noise and see how intelligence, both human and artificial, creates tangible outcomes. Of how goods and services move, how value is created and delivered, and how organizations coordinate across time, space, and partners. Why SCM and logistics coupled with AI? Because they touch everything, from raw materials to finished goods, from warehouse to consumer, from planning to execution. And AI, when applied thoughtfully, can enhance decision-making, automate routine coordination, optimize flows, and support agility in a turbulent world. It is in this wide realm of producing value that how we can use AI for true impact emerges.
So let's be clear, this isn't just another tech topic. It's not just about apps, algorithms, or automation. This is a strategy conversation at its core. It's about how we create real value for customers, employees, partners, suppliers, communities, and every stakeholder along the way. It's about how we design systems that actually work, not just on paper, but in the messy, dynamic reality of daily business. If you work in production, operations, logistics, or support those who do, this matters deeply, everyone concerned with how to create true value to customer, the end user, because these aren't abstract concepts. They're the building blocks of competitive advantage, customer satisfaction, and sustainable growth. Understanding this strategic side of logistics and supply chain management means you're not just supporting the business, you're shaping its future. It's not about writing software code. It's about knowing how to talk about AI intelligently, clearly, and credibly across teams and disciplines. It's about opening the black box of AI, not with hype or oversimplification, but with structure and vocabulary you can actually use. If you've ever felt excluded from AI conversations because you're not technical, this video is for you.
Let's clear something up. AI is not magic. And despite the name, it's still not intelligent in the way humans are. So let's pause on that word intelligence. What do we really mean by it? When we talk about human intelligence, we're referring to a broad, flexible, embodied capacity. The ability to reason, to reflect, to feel, to understand nuance, to learn in social context, and to adapt across unpredictable situations. It includes memory, emotion, creativity, and ethical judgment. It's not just about solving a problem. It's about interpreting meaning, imagining alternatives, and living with uncertainty.
Artificial intelligence, by contrast, is narrow, powerful, yes, but focused. Despite the impressive headlines, AI systems don't actually understand anything in the human sense. They don't have intuition, context, or meaning. What looks like intelligence is really the rapid processing of massive amounts of data, all boiled down to binary code, just zeros and ones. These systems operate on patterns, not comprehension. They mimic reasoning, but they don't truly know. At least not yet. Some believe that quantum computing might change the game. With its potential to break out of binary constraints and process information in radically new ways, it could open the door to artificial general intelligence, AGI, a machine that doesn't just simulate understanding, but actually possesses it. Until then, what we call AI remains an incredibly useful tool, but one that still relies on human insight to give it direction, meaning, and purpose. They recognize patterns in data, often very well, and act based on those patterns, but they don't reflect, feel, or question their own logic. They don't know why they're doing what they're doing.
So when we call AI intelligent, we're really using a metaphor. What we're dealing with is a set of mathematical models and algorithms that mimic certain aspects of cognition, like classifying, predicting, or optimizing under highly controlled conditions. And that leads to another common confusion. If AI isn't intelligent in the human sense, is it just a tool? Well, yes, but not like a hammer or a spreadsheet. Let's take the hammer as an example. It doesn't just do something, it extends your capacity. It becomes an extension of your arm. It allows you to exert force with precision, to shape materials, to drive a nail into wood, something you couldn't do with your bare hands alone. The hammer is a facilitator. It translates your intention into impact, magnifying your physical ability without adding its own judgment or interpretation. It doesn't act on its own. It doesn't choose which nail to strike. It doesn't analyze context. It's inert until you act. AI is different. It's a tool, but one that can act semi-autonomously within boundaries. You give it inputs and rules, and it can generate outputs or take actions without asking for further permission. It can adapt to new data, it can prioritize, it can make decisions that influence outcomes in real time. In that sense, AI is more like a cognitive extension, a kind of mental hammer, but with a twist. Unlike the physical tools we control directly, AI operates under a layer of abstraction. We shape its rules, but we don't always see the logic it follows. And there's something else AI does that no hammer or traditional software can do. It processes information, not just faster than we can, but often differently. Take large language models, LLMs, like ChatGPT. They've been trained on vast amounts of text across books, articles, websites, and conversations. They don't retrieve information like a search engine. They generate new language. They synthesize and reframe what they've learned based on probabilities and patterns into something contextually relevant. So AI doesn't just save time in finding information. It helps transform raw data into something valuable. A summary, a tailored message, a decision support memo, a policy draft in the tone your audience needs. This is where AI becomes a tool for value creation, especially in professional environments where information flow, clarity, and speed matter. If you're in consulting, operations, public administration, education, or creative industries, this isn't just a cool feature. It's a strategic advantage, but only if you understand what it's doing and what it's not. Because once you stop expecting AI to behave like a brain and start evaluating it like a system with designed agency, you become much more than just a user. You become a guide. So let's build that structure. Because if we don't give AI a place inside the way we already work, it stays abstract, distant, almost mythical. And here's why this matters. In a business setting, ideas only have value when they can be translated into decisions, into priorities, into results. If you want to be part of that translation, if you want to be heard, trusted, and involved in shaping the future of your organization, you need to speak from a place of structure. That's what turns technical change into professional opportunity. We begin with a simple yet powerful structure: workflow. But why focus on workflows? Because workflows are the architecture of how work gets done. They are the backbone of logistics, both in practice and as a guiding metaphor. Workflows tell us what needs to happen, in what order, by whom, with which resources, and under what dependencies. Whether you're preparing a meal, assembling a product, writing a report, or performing a medical procedure, workflows define the sequence and coordination through which value is produced. In production, workflows are everywhere. Production isn't limited to factories. Public services are produced. Humanitarian services need to be produced. Teaching is production in my world of SEM and logistics. To make a product, any product you need, to transform raw inputs into something that's both useful and desirable. This transformation is at the heart of all economic activity. Sometimes it's clearly physical, like turning steel, wiring, and plastic into a washing machine. You can see the parts, feel the weight, watch the assembly unfold. But more often than not, the transformation is just as much service-based as it is material. It includes configuring the product to meet specific customer needs, customizing it for different markets, carefully packaging it to ensure safe delivery, testing it for quality and compliance, and communicating with customers to ensure a smooth experience from order to after-sales support. This means that most products today are not purely things, they're hybrids. They are complex combinations of goods and services, wrapped together in coordinated flows of material, information, and interaction. A washing machine isn't just metal and circuitry. It's also the assurance of reliability, a delivery appointment that fits your schedule, a simple user manual, a helpful chatbot, and maybe even a subscription to maintenance services. In service contexts, this complexity only deepens. Here, value is co-produced in real time. often through resource pooling and reciprocal interdependency. Think of a hospital, a concert, or an international logistics operation. No single actor delivers the service alone. Instead, multiple professionals, each with specialized roles, must coordinate and share resources across time and space. A doctor needs lab technicians. The hospital technician needs reliable IT systems. The doctor also needs a patient, and then there are the worried next of kin. The patient journey depends on receptionists, nurses, supply managers, and schedulers, all interdependent in ways that require constant synchronization. This kind of interdependency isn't linear. It's circular, dynamic, and reciprocal. Each actor adjusts to the others in a continuous, adaptive dance of coordination. That's what makes service logistics so fascinating and so challenging. It's not just about moving things, it's about aligning people, technologies, and processes in real time. And it's this orchestration, this deeply social and systemic activity, that turns mere resources into value. Whether you're delivering goods or orchestrating services, you're managing complexity. And that's where logistics becomes not just a function, but a strategic capability. And those flows need to be managed. That's where planning, supervision, quality control, safety, and documentation come in. Behind every core production activity, there's a supporting workflow. Procurement, scheduling, HR, data entry, equipment maintenance, compliance reporting. All of these are part of the full ecosystem that enables value to be created and delivered. And what is work if not this? Work is the structured, intentional application of effort to achieve outcomes. It's how we transform potential into value. It's where ideas meet resources and where systems make that meeting efficient, resilient, and repeatable. That's why AI lives inside workflows, not outside them. Now let's go deeper. This is also where logistics becomes essential. Because logistics isn't just about transport or storage. It's about the transformation of resources over space and time. It's the operational engine that connects material flow, information flow, and decision flow so that something of higher value can emerge on the other side. It's important to contrast this with functions like marketing or purchasing. Those functions are primarily transactional. They deal with ownership, pricing, relationships, and information exchange. They facilitate the movement of products and services across boundaries, but they don't change the product itself. Logistics, by contrast, is where value is made through pooling knowledge and technical resources, not just moved. It's about coordinating work, not just recording it. It's about designing the system that makes transformation possible, not just negotiating its terms.
And this brings us to supply chain management, SCM. SCM is the strategic layer that designs and governs entire ecosystems of transformation. Sourcing, production, distribution, coordination across partners and geographies. It aligns physical flow with business models, customer needs, and technological capacity. So why is this relevant for AI? Because if you want to understand AI not just as a tool, but as a partner in performance, you need to understand where value is created, not just where data is generated. That's why we start with workflows. In this, logistics is the art of producing valued outcomes, services, and goods. That's why we emphasize logistics. And that's why professionals with operational literacy, those who understand how work actually happens, are often best positioned to guide AI deployment where it matters most. In other words, if you can speak the language of transformation, coordination, and systems, you don't just understand AI. You understand how to make it useful. And here's a final thought to widen the lens even further. What we often call logistics or marketing, those activities we tend to confine within departments or job titles, aren't limited to corporate silos. Supply chain management, SCM, emphasizes breaking down these functional barriers while still preserving the essential expertise within each domain. It's not the functions that must disappear, but the walls between them. The key is to share knowledge and collaborate across boundaries to solve problems through collective interaction. This is in essence synergy resulting for systemic networking of both people and physical objects. Any company of some size will have many discernible business functions often organized into departments, characterized by specialized competence. These are not just business functions, they are ways of seeing. Logistics is the lens we use to understand how people organize resources to get things done, how we align time, tools, space, and energy to make something happen. It could be a supply chain, but it could just as easily be planning a wedding, running a household, coordinating a volunteer event, or managing your morning routine. Marketing, similarly, is about positioning, communicating, and transferring value, not just in transactions, but in relationships, stories, symbols, and trust. And workflows? They're the connective tissue behind it all. They show us how things are done and how they could be done better. Understanding workflows isn't just a business skill. It's a way of decoding how people create value in everyday life.
As we explore workflows, the structured sequences that guide how value is created, it becomes clear that these flows are not purely mechanical. They are animated by human decision-making, judgment, and adaptation. Behind every process lies the capacity to choose, to act, and to adjust. This is what we call agency. Agency is the ability to make reasoned decisions in the face of goals, constraints, and change. It is visible wherever people intervene to shape the flow of work, whether by adjusting a production task, redirecting a delivery route, or making a strategic managerial decision. In production, agency reveals itself when a worker responds to an unexpected machine behavior or refines a routine for better quality. In managerial settings, it surfaces when a planner reallocates resources in response to a delay, or a team leader motivates others to adapt during uncertainty. Workflows are not just linear diagrams, they are sites of situated agency contexts where individuals interpret signals, weigh options, and steer outcomes. The more complex or turbulent the environment, the more vital this agency becomes. This is where artificial intelligence, AI, enters as a supportive force. Rather than replacing human agency, AI can amplify it. AI tools can analyze vast streams of data, highlight emerging trends, suggest optimal paths, or simulate future scenarios. This empowers individuals on the factory floor or in the control room to act with greater insight and confidence. By reducing uncertainty, surfacing hidden patterns, and offering adaptive suggestions, AI allows human agency to flourish. It doesn't eliminate the need for judgment. It shifts the focus toward higher-order decisions, where human values, interpretation, and creativity matter most. Whether you're automating a production line, organizing a community garden, or redesigning the way a school schedules classes, you're dealing with logistics. You're shaping transformation. You're managing flow. So when we talk about AI in this context, we're not just talking about emerging technologies. We're talking about a deeper understanding of how work works and how we, as professionals and as people, can shape systems that create value with greater intelligence, care, and purpose. Now that we've placed AI as supporting agency, reasoned decision-making, inside the logic of workflows, let's talk about something more human: trust. Trust is the belief that something or someone will behave in a reliable, competent, and beneficial way, even when we can't fully predict the outcome. In professional settings, trust is essential because decisions often involve complexity, uncertainty, and time pressure. We don't always have the luxury to verify everything ourselves, so we rely on systems, tools, and people we trust to act with integrity and sound judgment. When it comes to AI, trust means being willing to use the output of a system to guide decisions. But that trust must be earned and conditional, not automatic. It should be built on transparency, consistency, and alignment with professional values. Because trust is what turns a tool into a teammate. But here's the challenge. AI's outputs can sound confident, polished, authoritative. Yet they can also be wrong, sometimes subtly. That's not just a technical issue, that's a governance issue. It's a question of risk, of judgment, of accountability. Risk refers to the potential for loss, error, or unintended consequence when outcomes are uncertain. In an AI context, risk is not just about malfunction, it's about misalignment. An AI system might generate a result that's statistically accurate, but ethically problematic, contextually inappropriate, or socially harmful. Understanding risk means asking, what could go wrong? Who could be affected? What safeguards are in place? And what's the cost of being wrong? Risk matters because AI is increasingly embedded in decisions with real-world impact: hiring, diagnostics, security, public services. If we don't address risk openly and systematically, we trade short-term efficiency for long-term vulnerability. When professionals use AI to support decisions, whether in finance, logistics, education, or healthcare, they're engaging with a system that operates on probabilities, not truths. And that's where human intelligence must step in. Because humans, not machines, are ultimately responsible for consequences. This is why it's so important to understand AI, not just in terms of capabilities, but in terms of boundaries. When is AI useful? When does it require supervision? When does it need to be challenged, or even turned off? These are not abstract questions. They show up in real meetings, real processes, real trade-offs. Think of a procurement officer using AI to evaluate suppliers, or a teacher using an AI tool to identify students at risk, or a city planner using AI for traffic flow optimization. In each of these cases, the AI may surface patterns, but the decision? That rests on human values, context, interpretation.
And this is why trust in AI cannot mean blind acceptance. It means developing discernment. Discernment is different from judgment. Judgment says yes or no. Discernment asks, under what conditions? Discernment is what makes professionals credible. It's what helps us evaluate new tools, adapt old processes, and protect the integrity of outcomes. It's also what creates agency in AI use. Let's pause again on this very important word, agency. Agency means the ability to make reasoned decisions based not only on data, but on values, experience, context, and purpose. It's what distinguishes automation from stewardship.
When AI enters production workflows, it doesn't erase this need for human reasoning. It amplifies it. Because now, decisions must be made not just about what to do, but about how much trust to place in the tool that recommended it. Because without agency, without the ability to question, revise, and redirect, you're not working with AI, you're being worked by it. So if we want AI to serve us, rather than shape us silently, we must remain active agents in its integration. That's not just a technical challenge, it's a leadership practice. It's a cultural shift. It's a human responsibility. And in the end, it's what ensures that as we open the black box, we don't lose our own voice inside it.
So how do we take all of this and begin to speak about AI clearly and credibly across departments, meetings, and professional settings? We do it by developing a practical vocabulary. Not jargon, not slogans, but terms that anchor AI in workflows and value creation. Let's start with a few core concepts.
Input: what goes into the AI system? This might be text, numbers, images, user behavior, or sensor data. Input defines the context and scope of the task. Model: the engine of AI. A model is a mathematical structure trained on data to detect patterns and generate outputs. It's not static, it evolves with training and tuning. Output: what comes out? This could be a prediction, a classification, the piece of generated text, or a recommendation. Always ask, what form does the output take, and what action does it influence? Training data, the foundation of what the AI knows. If the data is biased, outdated, or incomplete, the model's behavior will reflect that. Fine-tuning, the process of adapting a general AI model to a specific context, industry, or organization. Fine-tuning creates relevance and control. Prompt. Especially in language models, a prompt is the user's input, often a question, instruction, or request. The prompt frames the task and affects the quality of the response. Inference. The moment the model is applied, it's when a trained AI system takes new input and generates output. Inference is the live decision point. Why do these terms matter? Because they allow you to move from hype to hygiene. They help you ask better questions in meetings. What data was this model trained on? Who defines the prompts? Is the model fine-tuned for our domain? What happens when the output is wrong? They shift your role from passive recipient to active participant. And most importantly, they create shared understanding. Because when everyone in a room has a basic vocabulary to talk about AI, marketers, engineers, designers, managers, you lower the barriers to collaboration. You turn fear into curiosity, confusion into alignment. This doesn't mean becoming an expert in neural networks. It means becoming fluent in systems thinking. SCM and logistics is deeply rooted in systems thinking. Seeing how AI fits into the bigger picture of goals, constraints, people, and tools. Because the future of AI cannot be simplified to only robots replacing humans. It's about professionals who can think, speak, and act across boundaries, who can use AI wisely. And that starts with language, not the language of hype, the language of design, discernment, and direction.
So, where do you go from here? You don't need to become a data scientist. You don't need to understand every algorithm. But you do need to become an AI-ready professional. That means learning to think with AI, not just about it. It means seeing where AI fits into your workflows and where it doesn't. It means being able to assess when AI helps you create more value and when it might obscure the human dimension that matters most. And above all, it means asking better questions. How does this tool influence decisions? What kind of intelligence does it extend, and what kind does it ignore? What assumptions are built into the model? What values are embedded in its outcomes? Being AI-ready is not about speed, it's about sense-making. It's about slowing down enough to reflect on what we're building, why we're building it, and for whom. It's about keeping human purpose in the loop. And that brings us back to where we started. AI as a black box. You've now seen that this box isn't impenetrable. With the right structure, the right vocabulary, and the right perspective, you can open it. And once you do, you're no longer reacting to AI, you're shaping it. In your organization, in your industry, in your own career. So keep learning, keep asking, keep connecting the dots between technology, people, and value. Because in a world where AI is changing fast, the ability to understand and guide that change is what will set you apart. Not high. So let's be clear. This isn't just another tech topic. It's not just about apps, algorithms, or automation. This is a strategy conversation at its core. It's about how we create real value for customers, employees, partners, suppliers, communities, and every stakeholder along the way. It's about how we design systems that actually work, not just on paper, but in the messy, dynamic reality of daily business. If you work in production, operations, logistics, or support those who do, this matters deeply everyone concerned with how to create true value to customer, the end user, because these aren't abstract concepts. They're the building blocks of competitive advantage, customer satisfaction, and sustainable growth. Understanding this strategic side of logistics and supply chain management means you're not just supporting the business, you're shaping its future. It's not about writing software code. It's about knowing how to talk about AI intelligently, clearly, and credibly across teams and disciplines. It's about opening the black box of AI, not with hype or oversimplification, but with structure and vocabulary you can actually use. If you've ever felt excluded from AI conversations because you're not technical, this video is for you.